This is the Hot 7 Nightly News.
Good evening. It is Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. I am Daniela Edwin. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. We are on Flow Channel 117, Kiss FM, the Caribbean Hot FM mobile app, and the Caribbean Hot 7 TV Facebook page. Not forgetting those of you using the Hot 7 plug and play antenna. Thank you so much for joining us. A welder of Balata never returned from work on Monday after he was hit by a vehicle whilst completing a job in the late afternoon. We get more details in this report.
John Alexander, a father of three, tragically lost his life whilst at work on Monday. Alexander, a resident of Balata, was fatally struck by a vehicle on the John Compton Highway as he and three others engaged in the dismantling of billboards. The Saint Lucia Fire Service responded to this incident at 4:42 p.m. involving a motor vehicle and a pedestrian, later identified as Alexander.
On arrival at the scene, an adult male was found lying in a prone position on the sidewalk. It was reported that he was struck and ran over by a vehicle whilst attempting to cross the highway, carrying a billboard with three other individuals. An assessment revealed trauma to the anterior and posterior upper body. He was treated, then transported to a medical facility for advanced medical care.
According to reports, Alexander was complaining of back pain and suffocation whilst at hospital, where he succumbed hours later. The professional welder leaves behind his three sons and a common-law wife. The matter has been taken over by the traffic department and is being investigated. Reporting for the Hot 7 TV News, I am Novita Emmanuel Green.
A woman was the victim of a vicious attack this morning. According to reports from the Saint Lucia Fire Service, emergency personnel responded to a physical assault at 7:50 a.m. at Cul-de-sac.
On arrival at the scene, an adult female was found awaiting ambulance assistance. It was reported that she was assaulted with a sharp object. An assessment revealed a puncture wound to her neck.
She was treated, then transported to a medical facility for advanced medical care. The identity and current medical condition of the victim remain undisclosed as the matter is being investigated. In other news, leader of the opposition, Alan Chasney, has leveled sharp criticism at the Saint Lucia Labour Party government, alleging gross mismanagement and a lack of transparency in the administration of the Citizenship by Investment program.
At a press conference held on May 6, leader of the opposition Alan Chasney addressed ongoing concerns regarding St. Lucia's Citizen by Investment program. Chasney revealed that he had formally communicated with the government on multiple occasions outlining critical issues surrounding the program. According to the opposition leader, letters were sent in April, June and September of last year, highlighting matters such as resignation of the CIP chairman, postponed changes of the program's investment options, and the government's handling of the BMAX LLC situation.
All of those warnings were in the absence of hard evidence. The information that we were obtaining as the leader of the opposition and as the opposition party from reliable sources told us all something was horribly wrong. Despite our attempts on multiple occasions, the government refused to answer the questions. I think probably the most infamous response was by the Minister of CIP himself when he was asked how many files, how many shares, how many passports were allocated to Galaxy and to BMAX. And he said he would have to speak to Galaxy to get approval from Galaxy to reveal that information.
Chasney has raised concerns over the government's continued dealings with BMX LLC despite the arrest of the company's principals. According to Chasney, the government signed a contract with BMX in November 2023 and continued to engage in business with the company until October 2024, months after the owner's arrest earlier that year. Chasney alleged that the government claimed to be unaware of the arrest until questioned by a journalist in September 2024. By the government's account, the arrest was a false accusation, adding the officials only acknowledged the matter publicly following the media inquiry. He further noted that when asked by a reporter in December, the Prime Minister stated the agreement with BMX had since been suspended, affirmed that the government was no longer conducting business with the firm.
As if that was common knowledge to everyone. Nobody knew. Then we have the situation with Galaxy. So in the case of Galaxy, the contract was signed in January of 2024. And shortly afterwards, in March, early March of 2024, 4 OECS countries signed what's known as the Memorandum of Agreement. So there were meetings that had taken place with the US Treasury the previous year to come up with 6 points of strengthening the CIP programs. And one of the outcomes was an MOA, a Memorandum of Agreement. So that had been in discussions and in negotiations from the previous year, as early as February of 2023.
Chasney has continued the authenticity of the contract signed when Saint Lucia joined the Memorandum of Agreement, the MOA, asserting that the documents were genuine and had been leaked as early as November prior to his initial of legal proceedings. The subsequent public release of both the contract and a related government-issued letter has, according to Chasney, shed light to the true nature of the program. The letter, reportedly authored by the government and addressed to the Citizen by Investment Program Unit, requesting amendments to the Caribbean Galaxy Agreement following its initial signing.
Given that the price of the citizenship that had gone from $100,000 to $250,000, so let's put that in numbers, at $100,000 US per family, Galaxy would have made up to $600 million US. But if now the price has been moved to $250,000 US, that means that Galaxy would make $1.5 billion US. So the government of Saint Lucia said to Galaxy, given that the price has gone to the $250,000, would you consider either reducing the number of files, the 6,000 files that you have, or shares, or increasing the amount of money that you were prepared to fund? So remember, in this instance, in the contract that we have, the government of Saint Lucia would have given Galaxy 6,000 files, and in return, Galaxy was going to provide funding or financing of $100 million US. So it says, Caribbean Galaxy agrees to provide requisite financing of $100 million for the construction project cost.
Chasney has asserted that in light of what he describes as a conclusive evidence, the true impediment to national progress is the Saint Lucia Labour Party. Chasney further contended that the current administration has wrongly portrayed the opposition as an obstacle of the country's development, a narrative he firmly rejects.
Now we have all the facts in front of us, and we now know that the enemies of transparency, the enemies of good governance in this country, is the Labour Party. 100%. That's an undeniable fact that they are the enemies of transparency and of accountability and of good governance. And they continue to waste the resources of this country. And they come in front of us and lie bold-faced lies.
Chasney has expressed grave concerns over the current state of the Citizen by Investment Program, suggesting it is in disarray. He criticized the government for continuing to rely on the same individuals allegedly responsible for the program's shortcomings to now rectify the situation. The opposition has called on the Labour Party to publicly address a series of pressing questions. Were they aware that the Minister of Investment had signed the contract in question? Why was the Attorney General not a co-signature? And perhaps most importantly, is the average citizen truly reaping the benefits of this initiative?
Now that we know that we're right, I'm saying to all St. Lucians, all citizens of this country, regardless of which political persuasion you're in, I'm asking civil society, I'm asking those civil servants, despite what has happened now, stand up and do the right thing.
For Hot 7 TV News, Josiah Bissett reporting.
Coming up next, fishers are pleased that Lucian Blue Ocean is back, and this year's Arts in the City, Jazz on the Square segment kicks off. The details to these stories and much more when we come back.